Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Tonight's film is 1980's Devil Hunter by Mr. Jess Franco. This is Jess Franco's Devil Hunter from 1980, put out by Severin Films on DVD. Here's the back. You can see a couple quotes and things like that. And here it is. This is the awesome cover art. And this is a film that actually includes Al Cliver from Fulci's Zombie. It also includes Ursula Fellner, who was in Sadomania, and also Linda. And Linda I reviewed on this YouTube page, and Sadomania in the future. But Ursula Fellner, who was, I believe, was a penthouse pet model, as well as did some other nude modeling as well. That's actually a drawing of her on the cover there. This is 1980s Devil Hunter. Here it is, folks. Let's get into this film a little bit. This is one of Jess Franco's journeys into the cannibal genre. Now, as you know, the cannibal genre was wild and crazy in the 70s, especially late 70s, with Cannibal Ferox and Cannibal Holocaust and Jungle Holocaust. And I mean, it was just like there was tons and tons of stuff. So Franco did do some cannibal films. Devil Hunter is one of his cannibal films, although to call it a cannibal film is really not doing it justice at all, because this film is much more complex than that. Essentially what we have here is we have this fashion model, played by the lead, and I always forget her name kind of, but played by Ursula Fellner, and she's in a kind of a tropical area. It's not really named exactly where it is, like a Caribbean area, jungle area, and she's doing photography there, and she gets abducted by a group of criminals and kidnappers who just want ransom money. So they bring her out into the jungle, and they want ransom money, and simultaneously there is also a tribe in the jungle that deals with cannibalism, as well as some supernatural telekinetic force, as well as something dealing with vision and possession. All right, Jess Franco's Devil Hunter. What a wild film. Let's get into the music first, okay? The music, it says in the credits, was done by Jess Franco and Daniel White. Now, as you know, Daniel White did a lot of Franco films, but to have Jess Franco's name in the music is also rather unique. It doesn't happen much, okay, unless he uses a pseudonym for the music. But in this one, it looks like he's using a pseudonym for the direction of the film, but not for the music, and he did it with Daniel White. The music and the sound design for this film is batshit crazy. It's craziness. I'm gonna say it's the darkest Franco music I've heard so far, and I've watched tons of his films. It's some of the darkest, most disturbing Franco music for one of his films that I've heard. You do have one thematic piece with some acoustic guitar that's very Spanish flavored, and it's like one of those pieces, it's one of those Franco pieces that's very seductive, yet it's very mysterious, and it tugs at your soul, and it makes you feel something that you can't really describe. Yes, it's seductive. Yes, it's a little bit sleazy. Yes, it feels a little bit islandy. Yes, it feels tropical and nostalgic and romantic and weird, and all at the same time. You do have that thematic piece going throughout it a couple times, but for the vast majority of this film, and you'll get sucker punched in the first 20 minutes of this film with just a cacophony of abrasive, almost metallic, just discordant chaos in the sound design, and very disturbing, just noise, almost reminding me of Tobe Hooper's score for Texas Chainsaw Massacre or for his score for Eaten Alive. I mean, it really reminded me of that discordant, abrasive, oppressive sound for the viewer, just total oppressiveness. Now, we also have some very horrific score amidst this cacophony of oppressive sound design. We also have score that almost reminded me of the original Black Christmas at times, that almost reminded me of Carnival of Souls at times with the organ use, and maybe just a mix of other feelings, maybe phantasm, maybe it just has all those elements. Yes, very, just a very horror, very atmospheric, horrific score in this movie Devil Hunter. That really, I mean, there was organ, there was scary piano pieces. It was really just heavy, and the score for this film is horrific, and it's one of the most horrific scores for a Franco film that I've heard, and it's just really, really awesome. Now, when we get into the style of this film, you know, I almost felt like the beginning of the film, like the first 15, 20 minutes of the film, was a little bit more shaky Franco. And then it got a little less shaky Franco as the film went on. But you still had it pieces where, I mean, like the reverse zooms and then the forward zooms that kind of go in shifts, if you know what I mean. They go in those shifts. And he has some unbelievable shots. And I know this film was low budget. He has some unbelievable shots in this film that, I mean, from many different angles. I mean, it was almost as if he had like a crew, like assistant DPs and stuff. Which, you know, typically it's only from one view, and he's not really, you know, typically going to move the camera around to get all these different angles. In this film, it seems like there's a lot of different angles. So like cuts is what I'm saying. But he's also doing his Franco thing where he's kind of moving around all in one take, if you catch my drift. There are some really, he's doing some amazing things with symmetry in this film, where there's like two things in the screen and then one thing in the middle, or there's this amazing hammock scene near the beginning where this guy's raping this girl against, she's tied up, and then there's this woman just swinging in a hammock on the right side of the screen. So there's this amazing symmetry in this film. And there's also something that I've never seen before in a Franco film, which is point of view. Point of view shots that were almost like the movie Predator, because there is a being in this film who sees in this way. You know, eyes are definitely a big theme, a big part of the storyline, especially for this tribe in the jungle. And it's kind of this tunneled, blurry vision that you're getting sometimes as you go and you step into the point of view shots of this insane being or person. There's also this really unbelievable, weird Franco shot later on in the film with the tribe, where he keeps shooting through this man's thighs towards this naked woman on the floor. He keeps shooting through his thighs, and the man's naked, minus like a little bit of a hanging loincloth, so you see a little bit of his butt cheeks. But I've never seen Franco shoot through like a naked man before. That was really, really unique and twistedly weird. Franco's shots, you know, as you know, he has no rules, no boundaries, except what he lays out for himself and what he wants to just do and what he wants to see. And when you watch a Franco film, you got to be ready for anything. The weird, the bizarre, the fantastic, the wild, the boundary pushing. It's going to be unbelievable. So there's a lot of style in this film. There's some great shots, some great helicopter shots from within and then outside. There's some great shots of the beach. There's some great shots. There's a lot of shots of the jungle. There's also like some really like dangerous stuff in this film, from two guys like fighting under the water to climbing these cliffs and to a fight on top of a cliff. Like some of the most dangerous stunt stuff that I've seen in a Franco film too, and it looks like it was all done by the actual actors. Um, there's just some like really dangerous, crazy stuff in here. And for the budget of the film, they didn't have like these big time stunt people. You know what I mean? So some really, really wild stuff, and just a lot of zooms, and a lot of like shots of the jungle tribe, and the jungle tribe totem pole type things, and eyes, and just really wild stuff. Now, this is one of the few Franco films that has blood in it and gore. Because typically Franco doesn't use blood. Like sometimes, like a character will get cut or something, and there's no blood. It's so interesting. But in this particular film, there is blood and there is gore and some guts. Now, I wouldn't say as much as other cannibal films of this decade or this time frame, but definitely for Franco. And there's some pretty cool gore shots in this film. And the blood, there's a lot of blood, and the blood has like a different color than most blood. But there's some pretty wild, violent gore shots in this film, that will definitely kind of jar you a little bit. And I gotta say, in terms of the sexuality of this film, this is a very interesting film because, yes, we have full nudity. Oh, and look out for the girl from Cecilia, the lead in Cecilia. She's in this film too, and I'm blanking on her name right now, but I did a review for it on this YouTube page. She's the lead. She's on the cover of the film Cecilia, and she also did some other work with Franco as well that I've reviewed on this YouTube page. You have full nudity, male and female. But no gynecological type shots. I mean, you have close-ups of the bush and stuff like that, but no gynecological. You even have close-ups of the penis in this film, but no gynecological shots. Minus one shot of this African American tribal woman who's also in another one of his like kind of jungle films, Diamonds of the Kilimanjaro, I believe, which I've reviewed on this YouTube page. And Franco goes into her butthole, which is like, but then it just kind of it only lasts a couple seconds and then it's gone. It goes on to something else. So one of the most amazing things about Franco is you can never pin down what he does. Like there's one in this film, there's one gynecological like super NC-17 explicit shot, right? But he didn't keep that up for the rest of the film. He just did one shot of that, just one shot. Like he has no rhyme or reason when it comes to sexual explicitness in his films either. He might only want one sexually explicit shot in the film. He's not necessarily going to milk it for the whole film and just have explicit stuff all throughout the film. No, just one shot, and the rest of it won't be that explicit. And then sometimes the whole film, you'll watch a Franco film, and the whole film is not explicit until like one scene, and you're like, holy crap. And then some ones are just consistently explicit, or all different levels. He played by his own rules. This is why Jess Franco is the most unique director around, because you cannot pin down what he's doing, and he's living and operating in another world. And there is some wild stuff with a naked man in this film, and a naked man fighting another man, and there's some wild stuff with blood and eyes, and the makeup of the eyes is really, really creepy and scary, actually. The being in this film, his face is actually freaking weird, bizarre, scary. This is 1980s Jess Franco's Devil Hunters, put out by Severin Films. It's probably going to go out of print at some point, because I know some other Jess Franco films have been going out of print. So you gotta be careful and jump on this. This is very politically incorrect. This is really weird in terms of races, also blacks and whites, and it's a really weird, and this is a film that would never be made today, folks. It's Jess Franco politically incorrect indeed. Devil Hunter 1980. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarre YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Feel free to check out all my other reviews on this page and my own personal films at youtube.com/poopy diarrhea. Thank you and good night.